Hello, this is Kathryn Reed, and this is my video upload for Dancing for Him Level 2, The Worshiping Bride, Chapter 2. This chapter, the title was The Priority of Praise. My AP is Mary Kyoko. And in this chapter, we're asked to do a video upload of an activation that we would do. To describe the chapter and just to explain a few things first, the chapter started off with Jesus and the woman at the well. Very interesting story that really helped to show the priority, how we truly should feel about praise and worship. And in this chapter, the woman at the well was talking to Jesus, and she was just saying, she was describing, basically saying, we worship on this mountain, we worship on that mountain. And Jesus stopped her, and Jesus said, my daughter, there will come a time where none of that will matter. So it won't matter if I stay in Vicksburg, it won't matter if you stay in Jacksonville, none of that will even matter, because we would truly be called to just worshiping God in spirit and in truth, not focusing on those types of things. So just in talking about how we prioritize stuff, Jesus was just saying, if you're in your typical day and you have a list of things from 1 to 10 that you have to get done, where on that list would praise and worship be? As far as your lifestyle, would it be number 1? Would it be number 5? Would it be number 10? Just prioritizing, and really we prioritize things based on how we feel about them, if we're honest. And then in that particular chapter, it talks about us presenting our lives as living sacrifices, holy and acceptable to God, and just really dying to ourselves, meaning that particular verse is just saying, if we are to worship God in spirit and in truth, we truly have to die to our ways, our actions, our thoughts, the way we do things, in order to prioritize, in order to put praise and worship, that surrenderance level, up on our list. So another thing that blew my mind in this particular chapter was how God had talked about, as far as the timing of him creating the entire universe versus the focus that he put on praise and worship. A lot more chapters, a lot more verses, and I was just blown away because I read those chapters and verses, but I've never done a comparison like that, if it makes sense. But he does put a lot more focus on the praise and worship aspect of things. And so in doing an activation, I'm in my vehicle on purpose. I really wanted to be outside, but there's a lot of background noise, so I really wouldn't be able to explain the activation and you really probably hear me clearly. But if I was doing a priority of praise, it talked about true ministry, as far as ministering to the right people, the brokenhearted, people who needed healing. And that really stuck out to me, because our comfort zone when it comes to priority of praise, we're very comfortable with praising God in the typical worship setting in the church, as we do our dance ministry. But I saw a vision. We practice, actually, our ministry, we practice downtown, and that's where our studio is. And so we actually see a lot of homeless people, a lot of broken people. And so as I turn the camera around, I would envision, if I had to do an activation with a group, each group member being somewhere downtown, and need to be looking at y'all, somewhere downtown with worship music. I would do worship music, and not focusing on like making a flyer or making an event out of it. That's not the focus. The focus would be on going out, and as we praise and worship and surrender ourselves to God, that it would draw the right type of people, showing that the priority of it is not just in the church. And I'm gonna turn the camera around just so everyone can kind of see a downtown visual, of course, like I said. And I would just envision a dance member going all the way downtown and coming back up, being at different places downtown with praise and worship music. Flags would really be beautiful in doing this, because they can be seen very well. But every so many buildings, I would have someone with worship music and flags if they could, or streamers, or veils would be even beautiful. Just worshiping God, and allowing it to draw certain people to it. And the priority of it would be, as we draw these different people to us, actually being able to be open to God using us to actually share Christ, the true gospel. So I saw that activation because I kept saying, okay, God, show me something for this particular chapter as far as prioritizing. And in our lives, we do by ourselves, we prioritize as far as praising and worshiping at church. But I saw this visual based on the woman at the well, what Jesus was saying, there will come a time where you must worship me in spirit and in truth. And he was trying to get her to see, basically, not to get caught up in a certain place. Just as far as prioritizing, don't get caught up in a certain place that you should worship me. None of that will matter. And so I just saw that activation of many dancers being downtown, just worshiping God and drawing the brokenhearted to God and actually sharing Christ. And I do plan to actually share this with a group of people to see if we can actually do this as a for real activation, because I really think it would help our city. And the chapter, like I said, I love the chapter, but it was just on the priority of praise. Just Jesus really trying to get us to understand that there's no certain place, there's no certain time. Just really putting that as a focus. And in that focus, I just saw the activation downtown of many dancers coming together and actually worshiping God and drawing a different crowd of people versus the people who are already church. They're already coming. These people need us as well outside. So the priority of praise, where on our list would that be, and how deep would we go with our praise? My activation kind of went there too. I really think that we should go deeper. That was one thing he was trying to get us to see, to go deeper as far as understanding in the level to reach more people. Again, this is chapter 2 from the Worshiping Bride Ministry Upload.